Okay, so we've already done modeling polynomial addition with algebra tiles, and now we're going to be working on subtraction. So subtracting a term is the same thing as adding its opposite. We actually already know this. We worked with that idea already. You can change the sign, you can change subtraction to addition of the opposite. We already know how to add polynomials. So if we learn how to take the opposite, if we learn to take the opposite of a polynomial, we will be able to change subtraction problems into addition problems that we can do. So to take the opposite of a polynomial, simply change the sign of every term in the polynomial. Change the sign of every term in the polynomial. We can model this with algebra tiles. So the polynomial negative 3x squared plus 5x plus negative 2 looks like this, right? Here's our negative 3x squared. Here's our plus 5x. So these are different terms, right? Plus 5x. Plus negative 2. Okay? So to take the opposite, its opposite, all we're doing is changing the sign. We just need to switch these 3 negatives for 3 positives. These 5 positive x's for 5 negative x's. And these 2 negatives, 2 negative 1s for 2 positive 1s. So you're just swapping them out. You're just changing the sign of everything across the board. So the reds turned yellow and the yellows turned red. Okay, now if we're going to draw that out, we draw 3 big squares and shade them. These are for the x squared terms, right? The negative 3x squared. We draw 5 clear rectangles for the 5 positive x, and we draw 2 small shaded tiles for the negative 2. And again, the opposite just looks like the same shapes, but everything we switch. So we switch the shaded to non-shaded and the non-shaded to shaded. So that's how you get opposite. And the algebraic expression for its opposite is positive 3x squared plus negative 5x plus positive 2. So notice that really we could have skipped from here straight down to here. You can see here that the color helps make it easier to see that you're switching opposites. But if you just notice here, we changed this term to positive, this term to negative, and this term to positive. So the general rules to subtract polynomials with algebra tiles: you change subtraction to addition. That's the first step. Just change subtraction to addition by taking the opposite. By taking the opposite of the polynomial being subtracted. And then you just follow the instructions for adding polynomials, which is where you just put the tiles down, combine the like terms, take away 0 pairs, and then write the rest, right? So here, let's start out. We've got this polynomial minus this polynomial. So we want to change subtraction to addition by taking the opposite of the polynomial being subtracted. So we want to take the opposite of this. Right? So the opposite of that, we just change the sign of everything. This becomes positive x squared. This becomes positive 5x. This becomes positive 3. And now we can write this down. We didn't change anything about this, but now we're adding the two polynomials, right? Instead of subtracting, we change subtraction to addition by taking the opposite of everything. And now we can add these two, right? So that means finding the positive 3x squared, and I'm just going to draw these out instead of using, I could get my algebra tiles and put the positive 3x squared out, right? I'm just going to draw them here. Here's my positive 3x squared. Here's my negative 3x. Here's my positive 4. Okay, and then I'm going to add, just means put it down, put this polynomial down. And I'm going to put it down kind of underneath so that we can just combine the like terms. That way all things are grouped, all the same shapes are grouped together. So I'm going to put down the x squared here. I'm going to put down the 5x here. And I'm going to put down the positive 3 here. And now remember, with adding polynomials, the next thing to do is get rid of your zero pair. So here's a zero pair, here's a zero pair, here's a zero pair, and then you write what's left. This is 4x squareds, right? So we write 4x squared. This is 2x's, so I write plus 2x, and they're positive, and this is 7. So all of these are positive, and that's the resulting term, the resulting polynomial. So one last example. I'm going to take negative 3x squared minus 5x minus this polynomial, x squared minus 2. So again, I'm changing subtraction to addition by taking the opposite. So I want to change this to addition by taking the opposite of this. So that's negative x squared plus 2, right? I'm just changing the signs. So change that to negative, change that to positive. So now I'm not subtracting anymore, I'm adding, right? So I have negative 3x squared. That's for this term. Minus 5x, and that's the same thing, right, as plus a negative 5x. So I'm going to put, so we're getting really used to using this rule about changing subtraction to adding the opposite. We make use of that rule a lot. Now I'm going to model this. This goes right here, a negative x squared right there, and then 2 positives. Now we don't have any zero pairs, so we can just combine. Here's 4, but really it's negative 4x squared. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 negative 5x's, right? And I'll write that plus a negative 5x, and then we've got plus a positive 2. So this is the final answer for this subtraction problem. And I want you to notice that you really could have looked here and saw that this would combine to negative 4, because this is negative 3 and this is like a negative 1. So negative 3 and negative 1 is negative 4, right? And this doesn't have any like terms, so that's a negative 5x, and this doesn't have any like terms, so it just stayed a positive 2. So you should start to be able to see how to look at what you have and without even modeling it, see what they would combine to.